Alright, I think I got everything set up. Everything looks good to go. Yeah. Hello, Poyos. Whoever may be here. What the heck? Episode 51. I can't believe that, man. It's kind of crazy. 51 episodes of this. Really makes you think, huh? Just had episode 50 last week. That's crazy. Anywho, let's put some tunes on. There we go. We'll give it a couple of minutes before we get on to any topics or anything. Give people a chance to get in here. But yeah, it's gonna be a time nonetheless. So that said, how's everybody doing? We got a lot of Hoppous hanging out around, whether it's in chat, on Twitch, or in Discord. How is everyone? It's a sleepy day today. I don't know why it's so... I don't know how I would put it. It's one of those days where you would like snuggle up against a fireplace or go down to the beach and just hang out, you know? Feels like one of those days. But I digress. We got a couple of topics to talk about, which we'll get into that pretty quickly here. I just want a chance for the Poyos to, you know, be able to get settled, watch the podcast, whether it's on Twitch or Discord, and something that, well, I don't need to mention that. That can be said later. Anywho, I think that's enough waiting. Let's start off with the stats. I brought him this time. I know the past few times I haven't, and maybe I don't necessarily see much of a need to bring the stats up, because if anybody really cares, they can look at them. But hey, it's kind of tradition at this point. Hoppou Foundation Avatars is at 45,000 visits, 1,400 favorites. It's a pretty hot world. It's pretty vibey. Excuse me. The re-upload of Neko-san's world, which I think I'm going to unpublish now that he's back. You know what? I'll just do that now, actually. Unpublish. Yeet. So, you can't see this world on my account anymore, the one that we're in right now. But since he's back to VR chat, there's no reason for me to have it up anymore. But that said, it's sitting at 177 favorites and 3,000 visits. So it was cool to be able to have it up for that short time and let people still use those models, which is really cool. Hoppou Foundation, the old Avatar world, is at 58,000 visits, 990 favorites. It's just vibing there. It's been delisted for a while now. I did forget to bring up the other statistics. Let me pull those up real quick. Oof, am I not logged into StatBot? That would be a shame. Ah, okay, good. I have admin on this account too. Alright, let's see. Member chart. We're at 1,608 members. Fuck, 1,600. Holy shit, that's crazy, man. Fuck. Who'd have thunk, right? That's absolutely incredible. It's a lot of Poyos. It's a hell of a lot. Is audio on Discord functioning right? Test. Okay, it is. I have multiple monitors up in game right now, so I can see everything that's going on. My monitor on the left is displaying Discord, and it seems to be delayed. But anywho, back on to the stats. The top message members, as it stands, are myself with 44,000 messages, Benji with 43,500, and then Rat with 43,200. The top voice members are myself with 159,000 minutes, Spectral with 154,000 minutes, then Ultra with 146,000 minutes. The top message channels are General with 496,800 messages, Mute General with 109,000 messages, and in-game pictures with 22,600 messages. That's fucking crazy, dude. Holy shit. Top voice channels, of course, are Ryad 1 with 672,000 minutes, General 1 with 604,000 minutes, and then Ryad 1 again, for anybody who remembers the whole issues with the VCs. It's got 436,000 minutes. Average messages a day. You know, this shit never really ever changes, but it do be like that sometimes. Same thing with voice. It's all pretty similar. Activities now at 20 million, which is fucking crazy for VR chat. 20 million minutes. It's insane. Can't believe that, dude. That's a long fucking time. That just shows how many people have, you know, their Steam connected to Discord or otherwise. But that's crazy. I heard something go off. I don't know what that was. Let's see. Ah, I clicked the wrong thing. Yo, thanks for the follow. Hell yeah. That's cool. Hello. Anywho. Continuing on. There's the stats. There's the, you know, little bit of this, a little bit of that. Nothing too crazy. Nothing too much to get into. That said, though, thinking about bots, something that has been on my mind a little bit is MakiBot. There really is no reason for us to have MakiBot anymore, to be fair. We haven't had a reason to have MakiBot for, like, a really long time. We haven't needed MakiBot for, like, 6 months. And there's no reason for it anymore. That said, we should probably swap over. The only thing that Maki still does, it does backup logging, and it does reaction emotes, the emote rolls or whatever you want to call them, which on Hoppou Foundation East, PD, and otherwise, HoppouBot's already doing all of that. So there's no reason why we haven't switched yet. It's just not something that's really been on my mind. So MonkeyBot, I think, deserves a little bit of a... If you could see my feet, imagine I'm kicking a fucking midget, yeet. But like in South Park when they kick the little baby thing, fucking yeet the baby. Oh no. That's horrible. But anyway, that aside, I think MonkeyBot's pretty much destined for the scrap heap at this point. Sorry, MonkeyBot, you did us well, but I don't think you're going to be in here past today. That said, I guess there's no better time than the present to go yeet. Emote rolls wouldn't be up for like an hour, but Ash, you want to ban Maki? You can ban Maki if you want. But that said, if MonkeyBot gets banned or not, let's pull up, where is it? I lost what I was looking for. There we go. Hell yeah. Hype. It's a lot of people. 13 on Twitch, and then we got, 15 on Discord? That's hype. Hell yeah. So things to talk about. There's a few things to mention. Nothing too crazy, and I say this for a couple of reasons, and I'll explain. But before I do, let me get a sip of water. And maybe a sip of Monster. Also, if you have any topics or questions, hey, ask them. Bring them up. Would love to answer some stuff. Damn. Monster tastes so fucked, but All right. So let's talk about, what should we start with here? Let's talk about some things that we proposed and we kind of introduced and then retracted. Something that has been on my mind a little bit lately is we wanted to do the Laserdome team. And we wanted to do a social media team so we could have, screenshots or funny clips or otherwise posted for archival reasons and to share the culture a little bit. Now, I've been trying to think of how we can really implement this in a way that, works and makes sense. And I have put a little bit of work into that recently. And getting a Laserdome team is something I would like to do. So I'm going to look for members, for players for that team pretty quick here. So if you have VR, preferably full body, but it's not a necessity, of course. You don't need it to do that. It looks a lot cooler when you're going fucking pew pew bang bang fucking yeet. Just goes yeet. But yeah, I'm going to be looking for players and a team captain. As, somebody needs to be able to manage the Laserdome team. Someone needs to be able to organize, not training or necessarily that, but there needs to be structure for it. So I'm looking for a leader, a team leader, and I'm also looking for members. So if you're interested, hey, message me. We'll sort something out, and it'll be a fun time. But hell yeah, Laserdome. I've been wanting to get that team going for a long time. And, one of the things that was preventing it, it's super simple. It doesn't need very much to actually run. You just need... Okay, here's your members, here's your activities, here's a day, go shoot each other. Pew pew bang bang. It's pretty straightforward. But I think that'll be a lot of fun. Anywho, talking about the social media stuff, it'll be handled pretty similarly to the Laserdome stuff. The way that I was working on both of them was pretty much the same format. So I want to get both of those things going sooner than later. I'm looking for people for both. So if you're interested in helping out with the social media aspect, whether that's just every once in a while posting cute pictures from the Discord or otherwise, I'm interested. And if you're interested in helping out, hey, hit me up. On another note, let's talk about some community stuff. But first, I'll go through some topics and questions. I see we got a couple. Goodness. I'm not sure what the heck's going on with my stomach lately. It's been having a mind of its own. Oh my. Anywho, how likely are we to see more ship girls and abyssal-themed Hoppou avatars? That's not necessarily something I can answer, because ultimately, it's not my job. I'm not an avatar creator. I'm not a model maker. I don't do that type of stuff. From a standpoint of Foundation-related projects, I mean, ultimately we leave stuff like that up to individuals. Generally, we don't do stuff like that. So if an individual wants to make more, hell yeah, power to you. But I don't think you can expect anything like that directly from us. In the near future, anyway. What's the word on the street about the sister channels? So the sister discords, we will talk about that in more detail. But I think we'll talk about that a little bit further down the line, because that can take up a big chunk of this time. Or the podcast, rather. Quest badges. So I did have somebody get at least the material side of the badge done. So the model itself is done for Quest, the badge, but not the texturing or otherwise. I still need to find someone to do that. I have a couple people in mind, but I mean, hey, if anybody's interested in taking up that project, it needs textures. I don't remember what else. The FBX is currently up. You can download it if you want. Look at it, play with it. Don't really care. But yeah, I've been trying to find people to do the badges, to do the 3D models, and I'm working on it. Trying to find who I can, trying to get what I can done. So sooner or later we'll have a badge for Quest, even though right this moment we may not necessarily be working toward or working on Quest. Even though it definitely is something I want to do and a thought, but I digress. What's the estimated time of completion for getting badges made for the other logos? That depends on the creators. So I've asked a couple of different people to do logo related stuff. I asked, well, you know what? I don't need to specify who, but I asked a couple of people, and we'll just have to wait and see. I generally don't put deadlines on stuff. I'll ask people a few times about it. We'll see. But yeah, I still need someone to do the Quest badge, what's left of it. So if anybody's interested, hit me up on that. The main logo, I did ask somebody to do a badge for, the logo for, the FBX for, sorry. And then East could technically use its own badge, but it's also just a modified version of the existing badge. So somebody could probably just modify the existing badge. If somebody wants to do these things, hey, I mean, the Hoppou Foundation ultimately runs off of its members in the sense of creations or otherwise. So if anybody wants to do any of that stuff, hey, hit me up. I mean, I'm always interested in more developers and more people working on stuff. It ultimately supports the community, and it lets all of the other Hoppous have some new cool things to play with. But I digress. Developers is something, a subject that I have been thinking about a lot lately too. More developers wouldn't do us too poorly. I think having some more developers would be useful, but what's really important is direction. And I think that's something that we're lacking pretty hard in the development section and in some other places too. And that's okay. You know, we've got some things to work on. But I would like to see a little bit more going in that field. I've been trying to work on getting teams together for the current projects that we've been trying to work on or trying to get out. We'll see how all of that goes. So, I have been working on a bunch of different things for the Foundation. I'm not going to specify too much of what or where, but some of this will lead into the other communities. So, we'll touch on some of these subjects. That said, let me get a sip of water. Some good water. So talking about the other communities, assuming, is there anything else I need to talk about real quick? Can we expect there to be any upcoming art events? That's a good question. I wanted to do. I have a couple of ideas for what I want to do for the events. The thing is, I would much rather have Rat, Spectral, and Ash, or another small team of people come up with the plans and the events. You know, they're a lot more creative than me, and I think they might have a better understanding of what the Hoppous want in that regard than I do. So that said, that's a good question. I have the next model event pretty planned in my head of what I want. I'm waiting on that just a little longer, as I would like a couple more things finished before another event. But that said, I think an art event wouldn't be a bad idea. I think ultimately, just wait a little while, see what happens. Should people want to help with stuff, they should just ask and talk. Yeah. We're talking about doing another 2D art event soon. Yeah. Yeah, basically, Eslo, I mean, if people want to help in any way, just message me. I'm a lot better about getting back to people and responding now than I used to be. So if you message me, you'll get a reply. I won't sleep on you. But yeah, we're looking for more people in general. One of our biggest issues, we have so much manpower and so many talented people. It's an untapped mountain of resources. And I always liked and preferred doing things by myself, never really involving others in a lot of things that people should be involved in. I'll give an example. The Hoppou Foundation East Discord, Hoppou Foundation Police Department Discord, I built those motherfuckers and tore them down a good dozen times each. And I didn't want help from anybody building them in that capacity. I never like asking people for things, you know? It feels very weird asking somebody for help or even something small. But my ideology's a little different now. You know, doing all of this for over a year, running the foundation, and getting to the point where we are now, help is definitely a necessity. Not letting others into areas where others are definitely required. That was a mistake. Do be like that though. The only way you can progress forward is by falling a little bit and picking yourself back up. So that said, I got some pretty clear ideas, direction-wise, for the foundation, and we have been actively working on development. Whether it be for the Hoppou Foundation, which in development I just referred to Foundation East, or the Police Department. There's some cool stuff going on. And if anybody's interested in helping out with any back-end processes, I'll always take some more help too. But that said, let's talk about some stuff. Hoppou Foundation East. I'm currently working on the scheduling for it. It's a little hard with all of these different things going on for me personally to be involved in so many different, how do I put this? With 3 foundations and 3 different schedules that have to be maintained, getting all of the scheduling to work out's a little confusing. But I'm working on scheduling for East right now, so we can start doing events, maybe even some raids, depending. And yeah, same thing goes for the HFPD. I've been trying to get a schedule worked out. That way things can move a little bit more smooth and a little bit better in that sense. And yeah, recently, you know what, we can save that for a different time. But yeah, some stuff has been going on. Been working on a couple of different things that I don't need to bring up quite yet. But East, you could say, is still pretty early development. Same thing with the police department. Now, the reason they were released in such an early developmental stage is for a couple of reasons. The main one, and the most notable one, being the fact that me developing all of these things by myself is kind of impossible. There's a little too much for one person. Having them out at the point where, you know, the Hoppous can go in there, tell me what needs to be fixed, what could be better, interact in that sense. That's what I want for East and the HFPD. So I've been trying to involve members of the community when I can in development. And I want them to be pretty similar to here when it comes to how things are ran in that regard. The community ultimately is what fuels it, so they should have a very big input on what goes on, how it's molded, how it's created. So I want East and the police department to be very much not just created by one person. It needs to be a community effort. And having them out a little bit earlier lets the Poyos immerse themselves, lets them build what they think is right. It lets them be a part of the process of a place that, in the not too near future, they're going to be doing patrols or, hanging out in CVR, doing events. But I digress. Goodness me. You get me going on a subject and just can't turn me off. Shoot. Anywho. So there's some stuff going on there. We're working on the guidelines for the HFPD. That has been the biggest focus, I think, lately. And we got development properly started on it yesterday, I believe. And I say properly as in multiple people being involved, stuff actively being worked on by not just one person. So stuff is being worked on there, which is good. I'm very excited about that. We still have some things very big missing from the police department. One of the biggest being the logo. Now, I've sent off a couple of ideas of how the logo should look. I've asked a couple different creators if they would, try to work with my idea, see if we can make it real. And that's been really difficult, finding an artist, finding a creator who can get what I want quite right. But I think I have a couple of good potential artists to do a rendering before the badge. I tried two methods. I tried having someone work on it without a reference, and they would just, make the badge with all the details given, but in 3D. But it's being worked on anyway. That's the important part about all of this, without going into the dumb detail. That is something that is notable, though. And it has been a big focus. There are a couple of ideas for that logo that I did really like. I think the one that I ultimately decided on is kind of the best for our style. But anyway, I don't want to drone on. So yeah, hopefully that gives some insight onto some of the things that we've been working on or doing, some of my thoughts on, different things. Let's see, what are some other topics to bring up and to talk about? Of course, there's probably very many that I'm missing or forgetting about. But, oh wow, it could be like that sometimes. That's some mighty fine battery acid. Strengthens the bones. Anywho, there's definitely a lot of stuff to be done, but I don't think there's as much as I previously thought. I think we've been doing pretty good about a lot of things. That said, though, I would be interested in seeing... Well, you know what? That's a conversation for a different podcast. Shoot. What a time, though, huh? I still can't get over 51 podcast episodes. That's so crazy to me. 51. 51 weeks of doing this. A year of leading this community. 1,600 plus Poyos later. That's where we find ourselves. Recently I've had a couple really interesting conversations about the community itself, about how we got from A to Z. And I can say I definitely gained some information, some insight, some wisdom that I didn't previously consider or have. And I'll say something. It has been a very, very interesting year. I say this for a few reasons. You know, of course, we had the whole pandemic and still do. That's restricted the majority of Western population and otherwise indoors. You're not able to go hang out with friends or, you know, do what you would normally be used to doing. A very big change for everyone, for the whole planet. And a lot of people found refuge on VR chat, VR social games, online in general. And a big point that was brought up a few times in the conversations I had, it's a really interesting thought. You know, during this pandemic, not everything was sunshine and rainbows for everyone, right? But during this horrible time, you know, we've had some pretty fucking fantastic times, all things aside. Or rather, all things considered, sorry. The Hoppous have been a very positive influence in myself and a lot of others during this pretty horrible time. And I don't think that's really something that a lot of people really considered, is the impact that communities like this or otherwise can have on an individual. And something that I didn't quite understand, and this is why I'm kind of getting to this, why I'm saying all of this, is something that I didn't quite previously understand, that I have a much better understanding of now than I did, is the impact that anything could have. Whether it's a community, an individual, something that I didn't quite understand or comprehend until, I would say very recently, is impact. You know, every action has a cause. For something to have occurred, there has to be a reason, right? It didn't click in my head previously. The whole notion of it just didn't really make sense. The idea of responsibility or, you know, professionalism, all of these things that well, I'm droning on and I'm going off on a rant at this point, but this community has been incredibly impactful on myself and so many others. And I just want to say thank you, motherfuckers. It's been a hell of a year, even with the pandemic going on. There might have been some ups, there might have been some downs, but this place has been a fucking blessing. For myself, especially. So thank you, guys. Thank you, Hoppous. Thank all of you bastards, whether it's the staff or just the Hoppous in general. Friends, homies, family. It's been a damn good year. And hopefully I've been able to make some people's years just a little bit better with the janky bullshit that I do and that I do here. Thank you, guys. It really has been something. Shoot. I'm gonna get emotional. I've been thinking a lot lately, which is why I'm kind of on this path, on this conversation. Whole lot of consideration, a whole lot of, well, planning. I've got some big plans for this year, a lot of things that I'm really excited to see and do. I won't go into any crazy details or anything, but it has really been something. The whole experience, a year of... I don't want to go in too much detail because I'll go crazy for an hour talking about how much I fucking appreciate you bastards. But this place really has been awesome. All of you have been fucking awesome. The love and support I've seen from so many of you towards each other and those we don't even know is absolutely incredible. The compassion that I've seen for others is just astounding. We really do have ourselves a family, in a sense, here. Which is something that I hadn't... Well, rather, it's something that I always knew, but I hadn't really considered it or looked at it from that perspective. Because this place really is like a giant family, and the way that it's ran, and the way that things go in general. It's pretty interesting to think about in that regard. But, I digress. At this point, we're just having random Hoppou thoughts with Blaze Creek. What a time, huh? can't help but really think about all these things lately. I can't help it at all. All this stuff's been on my mind. Trying to figure out so many things for the foundation, so many things of my own. I have done a lot of thinking. I'm pretty happy with how things have been lately in the foundation. It's been pretty chill, pretty quiet. It's been pretty relaxed. With development being ongoing with the other communities, it's given me a pretty nice little break. Given me about a month or so to really relax and work on myself, figure out my problems. That's been a super godsend, kind of stepping back for the past month or so and just doing what I need to do. That's been really good for me. So, working on all of these other projects, kind of taking a more leadership role like I should have been originally has been really nice. Getting to interact with the community from a more professional standpoint's interesting, even though I'm still a janky cocksucker 95% of the time. But the experience has been really different the past month. It's been very interesting. You never really think about how the community evolves or how you evolve around the community in the moment. But when you look back on it, or when you really think about the situation that you find yourself in, you can really find a lot of interesting and, ideas or situations that you would have never really thought of or considered before. I've had a lot of really cool ideas lately about the Hoppous, thinking about all the different stuff with the communities. And, I'm going to go on another tangent that's unnecessary if I continue down that line of thought. But anyway, before these ramblings go on too long, podcast is now at 32 minutes long. It's kind of crazy. It feels like we've been going on for a lot longer than 30 minutes. We covered a couple of topics that I would have expected to take a little bit longer. But hey, that's pretty solid, pretty swell. Tons of people literally in the stadium. What's going on? WWE's spooky. Can you imagine that? Oh my god. Wrestling, all of that spooks me. What a time, huh? So, not too long ago, we had something passed in the community vote. Hoppou Hangouts is what the vote was named. What that would essentially be is kind of like game days. But instead of playing games and being dedicated toward more so like this event type ordeal, it's still an event, but the idea is it's just a time where Hoppous can come, guaranteed, and hang out. We still need to work this out in the scheduling, but it's something that I would like to implement. It's something that I would like to get going soon. And I would like to get more of these things going in general. More events, whether that's big events, art events, modeling events, and game events. I would like more of this in general, as there's no real reason for us not to be doing more activities. We have the manpower, we have the want, and, we have the why not. There's really no reason for us not to be. So, I've been working on it, mostly for East and HFPD, along with my own. But we definitely need to find where that would fit. And I'd like to do more random stuff too. Every once in a while I feel like movie nights would be fun. I feel like more events in general would be just cool to do. More ways for the Hoppous to connect, to interact with each other. If you guys have any suggestions, remember, there is a suggestions channel. Whether you want to suggest something wacky, like a bread emote, or a Hoppou bread emote, or a server change, or something that you don't like, or something that you think should be better, or different, or would be cooler, you can suggest it. And generally, we consider everything that's in there, put it up to the vote, look through it, talk about it, whatever. So, anywho. Oh god. Yes, Lazzy. Let's see. I accidentally might have yeeted my window. Whoops. It's just There we go. As for other subjects to talk about, there's definitely a lot to discuss, just in general. But I'm not too sure what necessarily needs to be discussed on the podcast. There's always a good discussion to be had, don't get me wrong. But I think most of the notable things that have been going on lately have really been covered. Now, let's see. I do believe we're still working on that Minecraft server. I'm pretty sure Estlo and a few others were getting all of that working, which is of interest. Having a custom-made mod pack is going to be really nice. Let the players fix their own problems. That might sound a little mean, but it's really nice because if they make the mod pack, then they know how it works and they can fix it. But hopefully that'll be up soon. That would be cool to see. Another, this time long-lasting, hopefully. Fucking knock on wood. Do I have any wood to knock on? Knock on wood. That would be great. I remember one of the Minecraft servers got fucking antimatter nuked like a million times, and then it died. That was the thing. Look at what I got here. I got a doll. I guess some non-foundation stuff that we can talk about that would be kind of fun to bring up. So anybody, oh god, I yeeted myself. Well, it fell off the map. Fuck. So some non-foundation stuff that I could probably talk about. Let's see. So I don't know how to talk about this in a way that isn't like really fucking stupid. There's a couple Blaze body pillows. That's a thing. I don't know how to talk about that subject without laughing my ass off because it's so fucking weird. But yeah, there's me body pillows. Mazel tov. I was thinking about maybe releasing them, but at the same time that sounds really cursed. Like, why? Why would anybody make that of me? It was joked about for like over half a year in the foundation. People were asking for it. And it was really strange. And now that somebody's out and made one with a couple others too, that scares me. That's spooky. That's really spooky. But I guess spooky aside, that's so janky too. Oh god. It's so janky, dude. Anyway, I'm getting off topic as fuck. Maybe that gave someone some laughs. But, yeah. But anyway, back on topic. Let's read some chats, see if I missed anything of importance. Let's see. Anime nights, let's binge some anime. Well, if you want suggestions or otherwise, I would put that in the actual suggestions channel. But if you want me to talk about it, I'm not sure how I feel about anime nights or TV show nights or stuff like that. That's not really fitting. Those are things that would have to be ongoing and like an ongoing series, unlike a movie or otherwise, where you could just go there one night and not have to worry about repetition. So I feel like something like TV shows in general just wouldn't really work as an event type. I don't see that being viable. But I mean, if Hoppous wanted to do that in their own time, power to you, you know? Anywho, let's see. What else do I have to talk about? You really notice how tiny we Hoppous or Blaze's avatar is, considering the statues in the background are not big at all. They're a lot bigger than they normally would be. Those models are very large in comparison to their normal size, if I remember correctly. Because that Nanachi over there is fucking huge in comparison to me. And this is the same model. The same base. But yeah. Anywho, all the tangents and crazy cool stuff about the Foundation aside, this has been a fun podcast. I like this kind of ranty, going off, talking about all these different subjects that I find interesting. It was interesting. Yeah, but in comparison, normal heights, the statues aren't all that big, actually. Probably not. Beats me. Let's see, is there anything else? Okay, I don't see anything else of note. That works out. I don't want this to go on too long if I don't have anything to talk about. So, let's see, is there anything else that the Hoppous need to be informed about? We already covered the sister communities, development, why they currently are the way that they are, what's being worked on, the plan for them, so on and so forth. We talked about the Laser Dome team stuff and the social media stuff, what's being worked on there, how that's going. We talked about the need for some more assistance, whether that's for development projects or otherwise. But yeah, we covered a lot of pretty useful topics. I can't think of too much more off the top of my head that's really podcast material that needs to be brought up. Granted, I could be missing something, forgetting something, which if I do, someone remind me and I'll cover it in the next podcast. Now, what I want to do going forward with these podcasts after this one, I want them to be more structured. And when I say that, I mean, I want them to actually be planned out. I want them to have guests. I want there to be more than just myself. Ultimately, I don't necessarily like doing the podcast by myself. I fucking hate being alone. So, something I'd been wanting to do for a long time was start bringing people on for interviews. And I'd been wanting to make the podcast a little bit more, not professional necessarily, but I wanted to put a little bit more time and effort into it. So that's what I really want to get done for episode 52. A little bit more time and actual effort into it. Planning out questions, topics, stuff like that. Because everything that we do here on the podcast, I don't have anything pulled up outside of the statistics. I just kind of go off on what I can remember and think about. Which is great. It works out, but we can go off on rants or off topic pretty easily, which if there were more people that would be fine, but by myself doesn't really make sense. That said though, I got some stuff that I want to do here, some plans. What I really would like to do is involve the council more, get more council members on the podcast. So next podcast, I would like to be different. You can expect it to be different. That's one thing that I can promise for the next one. But I digress. That said, I think we've covered everything that's really necessary, everything that needs to be said. At this point, we're just going off. Let's see, potentially schedule works about all three foundations? What? I'm confused. So what I currently have done for the schedules for the foundations is there's 3 schedules, and then I have my personal schedule. I normally wouldn't schedule things out, but I kind of have to. A lot of things need my attention, or people want my attention, and I get lost very easily. So having that reminder that I need to be doing something is helpful. Now, for the foundations, I very briefly wrote down a couple of things for East and the HFPD. I talked about this a little earlier, but we can talk about it a little bit more. So scheduling has been something that's been on my mind because I want things to get going. And one of the only things that's really stopping, say, East from doing much is just schedule. Because I could take a night every once in a while and host a hangout or a small raid. Same thing goes for, with the HFPD. We might be working on the guidelines right now, but if I get a schedule out, say we plan official, quote unquote, how do I do that? Official patrols where a couple of us who are working on the community would just host patrols, test out what we're working on. So yeah, scheduling is something that I really would like to have done so we can start actually playing with the other communities and do more with the foundation itself. Those are 2 areas that definitely need more attention. But yeah, we really only just started working on all of the different foundations with help recently, extremely recently. And there's a lot to be done. There's a whole lot to be done. But we're taking steps in a very right direction, and I'm very happy with the way that things have been going. Things have been getting, well, not better per se, because that implies things were not necessarily good in the first place, but I'm happy with the foundation. I'm happy with where things are. And I'm happy with the plans that I've been, working on, or things that I've been thinking about for the foundation for a while now. The direction is not necessarily clear, but I have a pretty good idea of what I want. And I'm happy with what I want. Which means I want to start doing more. And a lot more. I want to put a lot more time into the foundations. I think that month break was probably enough for me. That said, there's not much more to talk about. Any more would drag on the podcast unnecessarily. Hopefully you guys like this one a little bit more, or at least like this style. I tried to keep things very honest, real, make things as, this is what I'm thinking. This is what's going through my mind. So hopefully some things were insightful or otherwise. Squishy Fox, hey, thanks for the follow. But yeah, hopefully there was some information to be gleaned or gained from this, and you guys enjoyed it. That said, I enjoyed this a lot. Handling things a little bit more, not necessarily professionally, but putting a little bit more effort and care into things, a little bit more thought. It's better. I like it more. I like it a lot more. But anywho, I digress. Let's end this podcast. I need to get some food. It's been a fucking pleasure. I really enjoyed this podcast a lot. This has probably been my favorite one the past couple of weeks, past couple of podcasts. I've been enjoying them a lot more lately. It's been pretty fun to come on here and to not necessarily ramble or vent about things, but to kind of just talk about stuff. May it be important or otherwise. Anywho, thanks for joining me. It's been a fucking time. We're about to hit the hour mark. And I'm fucking hungry. So thanks for watching, Poyos. I'll see you later. It's been a time. This is fucking episode 51. I'll see you guys for episode 52. Hopefully we got a little bit more substance for you guys, a little bit more from East and the police department to talk about. But no matter the fact, it's been a time. Hopefully you had a time. And that's it for me. Fucking poi poi. Bye-bye. Yeet. I can't yeet. Yeet.